All right, this is Sports Mashup number 42, December 15th, 2021 is the date and the year I added into that. So we'll start in the National Basketball Association where, like other leagues, a lot's going down and not good, most of it. Some of it is, but we'll start with the Bulls having a good season. They get shut down for at least 2 games with up to 10 players in the health and safety protocol. So I mean, the whole team's pretty much got COVID at this point. So, with the exception of a few key players, I'm pretty sure just about everybody that plays, including DeMar DeRozan and other guys, are in there. So, we'll see when they can get back. But they had a lot of guys out.
When I first read this, I thought it's 2 weeks. I was like, that's a lot of games to make up.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a less. It's a much less time frame for shutdowns now for teams. So, and they also take it a lot slower. Like in the past, maybe it'd be like, okay, they have a week off. Now it's just a couple games at a time, see how it goes. So the entire league is starting to deal with it though now. Nobody more than the Bulls in the NBA. So they're going to be out
And
for a few.
not even just the NBA. It's in everywhere right now.
Every league that's going in the United States is dealing with it for sure. And then you had Steph Curry on the flip side, at Madison Square Garden last night against the Knicks, setting the all-time three-pointers made record at 2,974. He did it in about half the games that Ray Allen did, and the Warriors beat the Knicks in that game. So, I mean, everybody knew this was going to happen. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when for Steph Curry to break this record, and he's the greatest shooter ever. So, obviously, it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he ended the game at 29.77. So, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the month he's got 3,000.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. That's at least, 5-6 games left in the month.
But, I mean, with this game, Ray Allen was in attendance. Reggie Miller was on the call. His parents were there. It reminded me of Coach K passing Bob Knight in wins. And I believe that was also in the Garden, and Bob Knight was there. And Bob Knight might have been on the call.
Depends on the year. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think they might have made a special, like he announced that game just for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, and the Garden is known as a great arena, special place. But the other thing with that is the basketball team of the Garden absolutely stinks. The Knicks are atrocious right now. And they have is there any consistent players in that team? I mean, RJ Barrett was looking like he was going to be that. He had a really good game, and then he went down with COVID, I believe. Julius Randle's not that guy this season. Their free agent signings have been a disaster. Fournier and Kemba Walker have been brutal. They're bad. So,
hey, but a month and a half ago, you were saying the complete opposite.
They had a great start. They were like 5-1, and ever since then, it's just been a train wreck. And, at what point do you stop calling the Garden a special arena or the mecca of basketball, as people call it, since their team's been an absolute dumpster fire for the better part of a decade?
Well, it's just for everyone else that goes there and drops 50 and stuff.
And it's embarrassing for Knicks fans. It's got to be, because LeBron's gone there and dominated. Kobe went there and dominated. Steph Curry had a 54-point game about 6 or 7 years ago there.
Yeah, I mean, how many great moments have happened at the Garden?
Against the Knicks, yeah. It's embarrassing.
Even last night, or was it there when Reggie Miller was doing the choking thing to Spike Lee?
I think so, yeah. And Spike Lee, is he even a real Knicks fan? I mean, God.
Did you see the video of him last night when Curry was in an interview? He's on the ground, sitting down, getting angles behind Curry, taking pictures.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It actually is. How do you even consider him a real Knicks fan if he's it just seems like he's there to get attention and be the guy, I mean, it's a little weird. And, another special moment a few weeks ago when Devin Booker absolutely torched the Knicks, but that's not going to be talked about as much, but it did happen. All right, that's enough of the NBA. Nothing much going on there other than the COVID issues with every team, and they're going to change their protocols. I think a lot like other leagues are going to as well. And that's where we go to the NFL, Week 14 in the books. Wild Thursday night game. The Vikings were absolutely dominating the Steelers. It was 23-0, and then Kirk Cousins did some Kirk Cousins things.
That's the Vikings did Viking things. They get a lead, and they're like, let's let them back in.
As I've said many times, almost every single one of their games is identical in one way or the other. Like they are down a lot, they come back, make it close, probably lose, up a lot, blow it, probably lose, but they did win this one 36-28. And Big Ben was very good in the second half of this game. Very good. Probably the best he's looked in a long time. And they had the touchdown that could have got them in position to tie it with a 2-point conversion. But Pat Freiermuth, a great throw by Roethlisberger, just a better play by Harrison Smith to knock it out. And the Vikings win 36-28 in a game where Dalvin Cook came back with a harness and had over 200 yards.
And it was also on that last drive, you had Chase Claypool
God.
get a first down and give the first down sign and everything, wasting time. And then the center literally runs over, takes the ball from him, trying to get the ball spiked.
I mean, at what point do the Steelers start changing the way that they evaluate wide receivers? Antonio Brown,
Juju, just their actions, like actually discipline these guys.
Claypool and Mike Wallace had some issues there. So – I mean, they make Deontay Johnson just look like, God himself.
I mean, it all started with Antonio Brown doing whatever he wanted, and then you had Juju dancing, making us TikToks for the game on the field.
Dancing on teams' logos and getting their asses kicked. I mean, Jesus, it's just so stupid.
You got Claypool doing young things. I mean, yeah, it's a second year, but
it's just so dumb. Like 95% of players in that situation would turn around and get the ball to the ref. And he's making excuses for it after the game saying it's not his fault. Just stupid. And at what point does it go back to coaching and Tomlin? Because, I mean, he's been there forever, and this is a very undisciplined Steelers team. Yeah. Very undisciplined. And it's been that way for a few years now. So I don't think he'll get fired, but I think that he's going to be one of the guys that's entering next season on the hot seat a little bit. And we'll see what happens. I mean, the division's still open. So speaking of that, the Browns and the Ravens, wild one. Lamar Jackson sprained his ankle. He was out. Tyler Huntley came in. Honestly, the Ravens offense has looked as good, if not maybe a little bit better with Huntley right now than Lamar. But Cleveland held on to win 24-22. The Browns staying afloat. The Ravens have lost, 3 in a row, I think? Yeah, so division's
But now the Browns are in question with
10 guys.
Their head coach and Baker now.
10 players and their head coach on the COVID list. And here's the thing. They play this Saturday and they play next Saturday, I believe, because they play the Christmas game at Lambeau.
These guys all have to get 2 positive tests before Saturday's game.
Well, I think they're changing it a little bit. If you're asymptomatic, I believe you only need 1 test.
Well, I think they said Baker and how do you pronounce it? Stefanski?
Yeah.
They both have to have 2.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're definitely going to loosen up the protocols a little bit. And here's the thing, and I think that this is probably something the NFL should look into. If you're positive, if you test positive, you're vaccinated, and you're asymptomatic, at what point do you just have players play the games? Because you're not symptomatic, and you're vaccinated, and you aren't, you're not going to – there's no proof of spreading it in an athletic event, in a sporting event. So I'm pretty sure they could safely play the games as an asymptomatic person. That's just something the NFL is probably going to look into. I saw some tweets about that. But elsewhere in the NFL, the Titans, the Jaguars are a disaster. They continue to be a 20-0 win for the Titans over the Jaguars. Jaguars had another story that just came out before we started recording. Former Jaguars kicker Josh Lambo tells, I think it was the Tampa Bay Times, that Urban Meyer kicked him during a warm-up in the preseason. He said, don't you ever effing kick me again. And Urban Meyer said, I'm the head ball coach. I'll kick you whenever the F I want. So the Urban Meyer thing's going well. So it's going well for Urban. Hopefully he enjoys his last few weeks as NFL head coach. The Chiefs and the Saints, both blowout victories. The Chiefs just annihilated the Raiders for the second time this season, 48-9. And the Saints pulled away late to beat the Jets 30-9. So the Raiders gathered on the Chiefs logo before the game. Everybody knows if you do that, it's not going to go well. There's 2 things in the NFL that are constant. Go on the team's logo before the game and mess around, do your little TikTok BS that Juju does, or have a team meeting on it like Yannick Ngakoue got for the Raiders. And number 2 is if it's snowing and it's under 25 degrees, don't go out there like you're a tough guy with like a tank top on or no shirt or something. You always lose if you do that. That's just how the NFL works. So like an example of that last week, I don't know which Bills player it was, but there's a Bills player walking around, no sleeves on in that game against the Patriots. So something you got to think about. But anyway, the Cowboys, the Washington football team, insane game. Cowboys defense saved Dak. Dak was brutal in this game, 27-20. This just proves that the Washington quarterbacks are atrocious. Heineke's not good. I'm sorry, and Kyle Allen's not good either.
Just watch it Saturday. Like, are they ever going to get a guy who's not a Carolina backup at one point to be their quarterback?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, are they ever going to get a guy that's not, other than Kyle Allen, an XFL quarterback? Because Heineke was in the XFL. They just signed Jordan Tamu, who's in the XFL. So they now have the St. Louis Battlehawks XFL quarterback room on their roster, Tamu and Heineke. So there you go. But that's the number one team that needs a quarterback, I think. Like,
the Cowboys almost blew that game too.
Dak threw a pick six late, a throw that I don't think any good quarterback would make. Had a defender in his face, didn't see the other defender coming around, which is Cole Holcomb, and threw it right to him. So, but yeah, that's the number. I mean, you could say the Texans need a quarterback, but nobody needs a quarterback, in my opinion, more than Washington. And this is a draft where they're probably going to be, if they make the playoffs, if they miss the playoffs, middle of the first round, perfect spot to get one of the quarterbacks, because this is not a deep, I wouldn't say it's not deep, but it's not an elite quarterback class coming. So, and Davis Mills, I mean, he's okay. He's not that bad for Houston. It's a dire situation, though, elsewhere. The Falcons beat the Panthers 29-21. They pulled Cam, put in P.J. Walker, brought Cam back in. Yeah, a bit of a mess there in the quarterback room.
Darnold's back like practice 3 different times.
He's bad. He's bad. If he's not running or like throwing in rhythm, it's awful. So
I played against him this week in fantasy. I'm like, oh, he pulled him. He's only going to get so many points for the game. Next thing, he's got a rushing touchdown. I'm like, thought he was pulled. Then he fumbles it. He's pulled again.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation there. I don't know what happens, what Matt Rule does, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do. The Seahawks win again. They pull away late, 33-13 over the Texans. I thought Davis Mills was still pretty good, all things considered, in this game. It's just Houston's bad.
And the Seahawks offense actually has looked good this game. They were running the ball.
It took them a little bit to get some more
Peterson
points.
Got another touchdown.
Rashad Penny had a big one in that game. So the Broncos and Chargers get some easy home wins. The Broncos dominate the Lions after honoring Demaryius Thomas, 38-10. And the
Which I thought was going to be a blowout off the rip when it was 10-0, and then next thing you know, it's 10-10.
Yeah, well, anytime you go to Denver, you get destroyed eventually, or just you have a bad game. Like teams that go to Denver, it's bad, no doubt. The Chargers, they beat the Giants 37-21. 49ers and Bengals, thrilling overtime. George Kittle, dominant. I think he's the best tight end in football overall, because you look at the way that he blocks, the way that he catches, the way that he runs. I don't think anybody does it better. You can give me Kelce, you can give me Waller. I'll take Kittle if he's healthy. That's the one problem with him, is that he's not healthy all the time.
I mean, Waller's basically a receiver.
Kelce's pretty good at both, but Kittle, he's something.
Kelce, I think, just better at finding spots.
And he's much more healthy overall. Because Kittle's had 2 or 3 pretty big injuries over the last couple of seasons, but he was dominant. Brandon Ayuk with a touchdown to win it, 26-23. And Cincinnati's dropped a couple in a row now. They got a big one coming up. I can't remember who they're playing, but they're playing the Broncos. Okay, they're at Denver. But anyway, big one coming for them. Your team,
Jamar Chase should have had 3 touchdowns.
Well, it's just a tough business, you know. I mean, the Bengals' offensive line is a problem. I think Joe Burrow's been sacked the most in the league. And he's not a guy that, like, runs into sacks that often, or it's his fault. But because the guys that do that is like Lamar, even though his offensive line, Kyler Murray's the number one.
He just falls down. He'll run back like 20 yards and he just falls.
Yeah, he does it a lot. But your team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, after I would say a bit of a questionable no call on a possible DPI late in the game on Diggs, they didn't call it, and the Bucs win. Too. Yeah, I just think that 9 times out of 10 they're going to call that, but they didn't call it, and the Bucs win 33-27. Brashad Perriman with a long one to win it. Brady's 700th overall touchdown between the regular season and the playoffs. Bucs are 10-3. I said on Twitter they're going to be 14-3. Their schedule's pretty easy to finish, so we'll see.
And I called at least it was going to Perriman on that play. I'm like, he's on the same side as Gronk and Godwin. They're going to use him as decoys, and they're going to drag route Perriman. And that's what he did. And when that linebacker saw Perriman by him, he was like, oh, I'm fucked.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, Tom Brady knows exactly what to do at the line of scrimmage better than any quarterback. And he's a little bit different in this game. He made some good throws, but he was running a little bit. I think the Bills defense pissed him off a little bit. I think that's kind of what
Yeah,
happened.
they did that early, and then he ran that 12-yard run and like flipped the ball.
Yeah, he was mad about that. But
then he had the touchdown at the goal line when they were like elbowing him and shoving him, and he was sitting there smiling and laughing in the pile.
So the Bills get smacked around a little bit by the Patriots, and then the next week they get smacked around a little bit by the Bucs offense. So I don't know what's going on in Buffalo, but they're in trouble because they do not run the football. Like Josh Allen is going to get himself killed out there with how much he has to do for that team.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
With them making not Singletary, who was their other running back, they made a healthy scratch a couple weeks ago, who now they're basically sitting.
Zach Moss or Matt Breida.
Zach Moss is who they made a healthy scratch, and they haven't been playing him. It's just been Singletary and Breida.
And they still don't run the ball. But, yeah, Sunday Night Football, insane first half. Somehow the Bears scored 27 points in one half of football. Then they did absolutely nothing in the second half. The Packers pulled away 45-30 over the Bears. Rodgers, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns. The Packers started moving around Devontae Adams in the second half, and then he did whatever he wanted. But a little bit of a shout-out to Jalen Johnson. He didn't shut Adams down, but he was pretty good against Adams in the first half. He got absolutely cooked by him on the 4th touchdown, but people aren't going to talk about the first part. So the Packers are 10-3. And then the Rams get a much-needed win over the Cardinals, 30-23 on Monday Night Football without Jalen Ramsey, who's on the COVID list, and now Odell's on the COVID list.
They had him and Higbee. They lost the day of the game.
And Higbee was a false positive.
They were also out. Didn't have Darrell Henderson.
Yep.
But Sony Michel looked good.
This is a game I felt like the Rams were going to win. I just think that they're desperate. I don't think Arizona. I think they're good, but I don't buy them as a team that's going to win in the playoffs.
James Conner is still an absolute animal and looks way bigger for some reason than he did.
He's their best player right now.
Does he not look way bigger, taller than he did when he was in the black and gold?
He does, but we're also seeing him a lot more too. He's doing a lot more. But yeah, I mean,
now I thought that was going to be a Cardinals game win just because you're without Ramsey. You get Hopkins. You have Hopkins, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz.
But it's like the NFL. It's like a huge player is out for one team, like Jalen Ramsey, and then you're thinking, oh, there's no way they win. Then they still win. Or it's, do you really see Arizona as an 11-2 team? I don't know. But Aaron Donald kind of blew the game up in a lot of ways. And DeAndre Hopkins is now out for the regular season.
Yeah, him and Floyd look good.
So, I don't know.
I mean, Kyler, he didn't. They said he was trying to float that ball over Floyd to get to Ertz. I'm like, there was no float there. He threw it right to Floyd.
It wasn't a good attempt. And that's where the short thing might come into play. I don't know. But playoff picture after 14 weeks in the NFC, it's the Packers number 1, the Bucs number 2, Cardinals number 3. All three of those teams 10-3. Packers own the tiebreaker over the Cardinals. I don't know how they're number 1 over the Bucs, but they are, so they pretty much control their own destiny. Cowboys 4 at 9-4, Rams 5 at 9-4, Niners 6 at 7-6, and Washington Football Team 7th at 6-7. AFC Patriots, Titans, Chiefs 1, 2, and 3, all 9-4. Ravens 8-5, Chargers 8-5. That's 4-5, and then 6-7. Colts and Bills at 7-6. You had 37 positive tests in the NFL on Monday, and now a total of 85 players in the COVID list in the last 3 days. So not good.
Yeah, and with the COVID running through that, I mean, fantasy playoffs can mean a lot of waiver pickups.
I got a bye week this week, and then I got to figure out what I'm going to do, even though I think I'm good for the most part in terms of injuries and COVID. But
well, I just lost DeAndre Hopkins.
I haven't really lost anybody of significance lately, but there's been some adversity this season for sure. I mean, a few guys have gone down, but what can you do?
This past week, I kept reading that Josh Jacobs is going to be the guy, and I sit Hunter Renfrow, put Josh Jacobs in, and Hunter Renfrow goes off, and Josh Jacobs does Nothing.
Well, Josh Jacobs really set the tone for his game early with that fumble right away.
So. It was the drive later, Hunter Renfrow fumbled, but he stood up with like 14 catches and a touchdown and like 140 yards.
We've come a long way from the Chiefs' defense being the talking point about how bad they are, and now they're like one of the big reasons why they're winning. So maybe the Jordan Love game got them going.
They were without Chandler Jones for a while.
I mean, he's on the COVID list now, so they're not going to have him against the Chargers tomorrow. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting way to see how that goes. College basketball, since we don't have any golf to discuss right now. Purdue was number 1 for the first time in school history. Then they follow up with a loss in their first game. Insane buzzer beater by Ron Harper Jr. for Rutgers to beat Purdue at, I believe it's Jersey Mike's Arena now. It used to be the Rack, and now it's Jersey Mike's Arena, which is stupid, but I'm still going to call it the Rack. And then in Purdue's second game as number 1, they barely survived NC State in overtime. So a couple of tough ones for them. After being number 1, they've now dropped to 3. The AP top 10 right now after a few major changes. Baylor is number 1, Duke is number 2, Purdue number 3, UCLA number 4, Gonzaga number 5, Alabama number 6. Alabama lost last night to Memphis. Kansas number 7, Arizona getting no respect. An undefeated team that has basically obliterated almost every opponent, including 2 Big Ten teams, number 8. And then Villanova somehow number 9 after scoring 36 points against Baylor, and then USC number 10.
That's what I put on here. A lot of top 25 I don't understand. It's
because the voters are stupid.
Arizona's at 8, USC's at 10, Iowa State's at 11. They're all undefeated.
Yeah, and a lot of it's a strength of schedule thing and controlling the narrative thing. Arizona makes no sense to me. The other 2 I understand because Iowa State, it's a weird team because there are a lot of transfers, a new coach. Isaiah Brockington's their best player, but he's a transfer from Penn State. Does he have the juice to keep up this way the entire season, especially when you're playing defense-heavy teams in the Big 12 like Baylor and Texas Tech? I just don't know about them. I think the big thing for Iowa State is they were 0-18 in the Big 12 last season. And fair or unfair, people are going to look at them differently as an undefeated team. They're 1 big wins over Iowa.
LSU's also undefeated. I think they're at 18 or something.
I think if Adam Miller was playing, they would be maybe.
But Nova being at 9 blows my mind that they have 3 losses and they're still in the top 10.
They're good losses, but a couple of them were pretty ugly. Like Baylor, 36 points, can't happen. Purdue pretty much controlled that entire game, only beat them by 6. They went to overtime with UCLA. So those are 3 very good losses, but it's the AP poll. It's not March Madness. They're 7-3. They're not a top 10 team right now. So, but I agree with Baylor at 1. I agree with Duke at 2. Arizona should be number 3, maybe even number 2. But Arizona is extremely good. So, anyway, that's just the AP voters for you. They don't really know exactly what they're doing, but whatever. Let's do the NHL. Is the MLB still in a lockout? Nothing really going on there. I guess the Verlander contract with Houston became official, and the Mets are down to 3 candidates for the manager position. Buck Showalter, Joe Espada, and Matt Quatraro, I believe, are the 3. So if they don't hire Showalter, people are going to freak out. That's what I know.
Bring back Beltran.
Beltran's never going to get another shot, which is unfair, but whatever. COVID running through the NHL as well. The Flames were shut down due to 9 players in the COVID list, and they're 3 games postponed, I believe. They're out through at least December 18th, which is Saturday. COVID is running all throughout the league, about 23 cases in the last 36 hours.
Yeah, and the Bruins don't have Bergeron or Marchand.
Yep, both of them
Craig
are out.
Smith.
Yep, and they lost last night to Vegas, so they're going to have to weather the storm. The Blues have been dealing with it a few times each month. They just had Binnington, Falk, and Bozak, 3 starters on the list, and now they're off. And the big thing with this for me is teams that have more than 3 or 4 players in the list that are vaccinated, which most of the league is vaccinated, why don't they get salary cap relief? Like Marchand and Bergeron are probably combining for 10 to 12 million of the salary cap, and you add Craig Smith in there, that's 15 and a half or 16. Why don't they get any sort of relief? It's just stupid. And it doesn't affect the Bruins as much because I don't think they're as up against the cap as, say, St. Louis is with the issues that they had. They played shorthanded 3 times.
Yeah,
so
they're going to be against the cap when they have to sign Tuukka.
They are going to do that eventually, and I think everybody knows that. So,
and Krejci's killing the Czech Republic League. I'm waiting for him to come back.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come back this season.
It'd be really nice if he did.
I did read an article about him dominating the Czech league. Let's see. He's got, 29 points in 28 games. And those are the types of leagues where you're not really going to see the McDavid numbers, like 40 points in 20 games, but over a point per game in those types of leagues. I think those leagues are much more defensive heavy, the Czech leagues, the Swedish leagues, at least from what I would assume, and some of it that I've seen. But, yeah, he's a great player. Everybody knows that. Okay, the Vancouver Canucks, they're 5-0-0 under head coach Bruce Boudreau. 4 points out of a playoff spot. So the record's not good. They have a few teams with games at hand over them, but they're getting
losing,
close.
They're losing tomorrow because I picked against them.
We'll see. We will see. I mean, something's got to give, right? And this is a team we knew that had a lot of talent coming into the season, possible playoff team, and they're playing better than they, were before. So something will give, though, I would assume. Okay, college football. Lots going on there.
Yeah, a lot of bigger bowls starting – I mean, they start this Saturday, but a lot of the bigger bowls are after the Christmas weekend. You had Deion and Jackson State. Florida State recruit. He's number 2 in the class. First 5-star recruit to an FCS team.
Yeah, some have him 1, some have him 2. I mean, this was a big controversy and people blaming Barstool and Big Cat messing with all those Florida State fans going in the Twitter space with different accounts, talking about the whole thing because they want to fire Mike Norvell, who's the head coach of Florida State. This is an interesting one because I don't know if it's the best thing for the sport for the number 1 or number 2 player to be playing in the FCS. I don't know. I mean, the games are still on ESPN and ESPN Plus and stuff, but it's a bit weird. I don't know. He's going to stand out, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, I mean, at least he should.
Yeah, and
what position is he?
Corner. Could he play offense too, though? I mean, maybe.
Does Deion just make him the next Deion?
Why not? I mean, obviously, Deion's going to get a Power 5 job at some point, right? Like Florida State might get him in a few years.
You would think, but they tried getting him to begin with.
I don't think they tried that hard to get him the first time. Because I think that if they really wanted him, they would have gotten him. But I think that they were worried about hiring a guy with no head coaching experience.
But now Oregon hired Georgia's defensive coordinator, Dan Lanning, as their head coach.
Yeah, I like it. Youth is the new thing with the Oregon staff.
Was he one of the guys we had mentioned last week?
He wasn't on the list of people mentioned, but a few days before it was official, people were talking about it possibly happening. 35 years old. He's been coaching for a long time. He was on Bama's staff. He's been with Georgia for a few years.
We had Chip Kelly, Matt Campbell, Bill O'Brien, and Kalani Satake.
Yeah, Satake got a massive extension from BYU, so he's going to be there for a while.
Which we both thought he was going to stay.
Yeah, they're going to the Big 12 soon. He's an alum there. He's been there for a long time. It just makes a lot of sense for him to stay, and I think it's good for them. But they're going to also hire Kenny Dillingham, the Florida State offensive coordinator, to be the OC there. So that's combined age of 66 for your offensive coordinator and your head coach. 31, Dillingham, who's been coaching for a long time.
Offensive coach who basically will be in the defensive room a lot.
Yeah, and also Dillingham has been coaching for 14 years, and he's 31 years old. So these are a couple guys, Dillingham and Lanning, that are young, but they've been coaching a long time.
Just come right out of high school?
Yeah, I guess he got hurt his senior year in high school and then just started to coach at his high school for a few years, and then he started to move up the ranks. And he's been the OC. This is like his 4th different spot as an OC. I'm assuming he's just kind of slowly climbing the ladder between teams. And obviously, with the state of Florida State football right now, Oregon is a better spot to be in.
Yeah. And then Penn State hires former Miami head coach Manny Diaz to be their defensive coordinator, linebacker coach.
Probably a good move. I
think this is the results of the defensive coordinator leaving to go be the head coach at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Or Virginia.
And getting a guy that has been a head coach multiple times. It wasn't that bad at Miami, but their standards are still so high still for some reason that Obviously, when they had the chance to get Cristobal, they went for it. But I think it's a good hire. I mean, James Franklin's going to be at Penn State for like 80 more years, apparently. So got to get his guys. I'm sure Diaz will get another shot at a head coaching job if things go well.
Yeah, then we had the Heisman Saturday. Bryce Young wins, Alabama's quarterback, with 684 first-place votes. Second was Hutchinson, Michigan's defensive end, with 78. Surprisingly, I thought Stroud was going to get third, but Pickett, the quarterback from Pitt, gets third with 28 first-place votes, and Stroud gets fourth with 12.
I think a lot of this was team success based. And the fact that Kenny Pickett was able to win the ACC, I know Clemson was down, but win the ACC. North Carolina was a team that was expected to be very good. They didn't win it. To win the ACC.
With the fake slide that they now have put a rule so we can't do it.
They needed to do that, yeah. But the fake slide was like the first quarter, so, I mean.
Hey, that was a long run for a touchdown, though.
It was. And I think he might be the first quarterback taken. I think he might be the guy that ends up in Washington or Houston.
But Ryan Clark had a tweet about it like instantly. He's like, this is when Target is going to come to play because now people are going to start hitting on these slides if they're going to do this. And then
it is unfair.
Next thing you know, they put a rule in.
Yeah.
Because that was dirty. Because I'm like, even in the NFL, if you think of someone like Lamar or Kyler, and with Kyler's baseball background, he could easily be able to fake a slide.
It's been troubling to do that. I agree. I think they need to do that. But think of this for Alabama. If they win the national championship this year, I mean, who's going to beat them next year? Because they're going to have arguably the two best players in this sport returning. Will Anderson had incredible numbers this season. He had more first-place votes than Stroud and Pickett for Heisman. He wasn't a finalist, but unbelievable numbers. And Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the country. And obviously Saban's going to add more. They're going to develop more players. They're not going to lose a ton from this year's team. I mean, they're going to lose some receivers, but they always are able to generate receivers no matter what. I mean, who the hell is going to beat them next year?
Was it just me, or did Bryce Young look tiny next to Stroud and Pickett?
I think he is a little bit smaller.
And he didn't even look like he was 6 foot tall.
I think he's
unless they are just like.
Well, Pickett's a big dude, I think. But I mean, it's going to be. Yes, Pickett's 6'3", 220, and Stroud is 6'3", 218.
But how tall is Bryce Young?
Bryce Young, I'm sure they're going to have him listed taller. 6 foot, 194. Yeah. So I'd be surprised if it's not Alabama, Ohio State in the national championship next year, or at least a matchup in the playoff, because they're going to be returning quarterbacks and they're going to be loaded. So good luck.
Yeah, but then it's also like with Ohio State, that one kid left high school early to go there to be a quarterback. He just got a red shirt, or what's he going to do?
Well, I think he's transferring.
What was his name?
Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, he skipped his senior year or whatever.
I think he's transferring, and I'm thinking he's going to Texas, I think. So maybe he'll be good at Texas. I think he probably thought that Stroud wouldn't be as good as he is or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, he's from Texas, so I don't know. But let's see. Let's do the betting picks now.
Alabama, Cincinnati, that spread stayed the same. And the Michigan, Georgia went from 7.5 to 8.5, Georgia. Yeah. So in a week time, Georgia gained a point.
Probably a little bit more movement coming at some point. I don't know which way, but I think we'll see that. Last week's picks, I went 14-5. Big week. I didn't miscount one of my NFL things. I didn't go 7-1 in the NFL because I thought I picked the Chargers over the Giants, but I picked the Giants over the Chargers. Spread-wise, dumb pick, but 7-1 in the NFL.
I went 15-4.
I mean, these were some hot heater weeks. I mean, we were really buzzing.
2-0 in hockey, 1-1 in the NBA, 6-0 in college basketball, 6-2 in the NFL, and Navy destroys Army, and I had Army picked in that one.
All right, so this week we start with we'll start in the NHL.
Oh, I'm also 262 and 224 now.
I am 258, 223. So I've been surpassed pretty much, but a lot of time left.
I told you it was coming. That's 6-0 in college basketball. Oh man.
Yeah, I just can't get those. I can't get it consistently. I mean, Texas losing to Seton, Michigan losing to Minnesota, terrible. But NHL picks for tomorrow. Who you got?
I got the Wild minus 320 over the Sabres, who are just looking atrocious. And then the Sharks minus 130 over the hot Canucks.
Give me the Devils plus 145 against Vegas and the Oilers minus 195 against Columbus. NBA picks tonight.
Memphis at Portland, taking Portland plus 2.5. And Washington at Sacramento, I'm taking Washington minus 2.5.
I like the Wizards minus 2.5 as well. And then give me the Hornets minus or plus 3 at the Spurs. College hoops.
Yeah, I didn't know why the Hornets were favored. I wanted to pick that Milwaukee game, but Milwaukee's got like
Giannis is out.
So is Middleton.
Middleton, yeah.
And they have like 3 others out.
Yep, a lot of teams dealing with a lot of stuff, and Milwaukee is one of them now. So Thursday, college hoops.
I got Charleston at Stetson out of the Atlantic Sun, taking Charleston, and then Chicago State at IUPUI, taking Chicago State out of the Horizon.
All right, I will take Oral Roberts to beat University of Texas Arlington on Thursday, and then I'll take Drake to beat Jackson State as well Friday.
You're like us, so that like I was announcing the March Madness picks out of the Horizon League.
Yep, and the Horizon League, very interesting one. Does Cleveland State, pretty tough team, almost beat Oklahoma State. Cleveland State might be the team out of there this season.
Friday, I have Villanova at Creighton, taking Villanova, and Cal Poly at Fresno State, taking Fresno State.
I will take NC State to beat Richmond, and I will take Santa Clara to beat Florida A&M on Friday. Okay, Saturday.
There's a lot of ACC. Is it American or Big East? There's like 2 or 3 games out of that. Those conferences playing.
Yeah, I didn't look, but I will look. Saturday picks while I look.
I got Gonzaga at Texas Tech. Taking Gonzaga. Will Gonzaga ever play a game at somebody else's court? Because this game's getting played in Phoenix.
Probably not. I mean,
everyone has to go play there, but they don't ever go play another big schools.
I mean, that's how it's worked this season, and they have not been that successful in it. But I like them.
And then I got Ohio State at Kentucky or against Kentucky in Vegas, taking Ohio State.
I will take Tennessee to beat Memphis and Gonzaga to beat Texas Tech. Let's do the 5 bowl games. Who are your 5?
Out of the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, I have Western Kentucky versus Appalachian State, taking Appalachian State minus 3. Out of the Cricket Celebration Bowl, South Carolina State versus Jackson State, taking Jackson State minus 10. Out of the PUBG Mobile New Mexico Bowl, taking UTEP versus Fresno State, taking Fresno State minus 11.5. The Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, Utah State versus Oregon State. I'm taking Utah State plus 7. And then the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl, UTSA versus San Diego State, taking San Diego State plus 2.5.
All right, we took a few of the same here. In the Independence Bowl, I'll take BYU minus 7 against UAB.
Yeah, I'm so mad I didn't even see that game.
It's, I think, one of the first ones, isn't it?
Yeah, it just wasn't on that article I read about bowl games.
I'll take Utah State plus 7 against Oregon State in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. I'll take Wyoming minus 3 against Kent State, the Golden Flashes, out of the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. And then Frisco Bowl, I picked San Diego State plus 2.5 against UTSA. And I took App State minus 3 against Western Kentucky in the Boca Raton Bowl. So there's your 5 bowl games. It's going to really heat up.
Who'd you take in the San Diego State game?
San Diego State plus the 2.5.
That game, by the way, the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl is Tuesday.
Yeah, so that'll be one of the last days we can pick for this week. But all right, Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. Starting on Thursday night, who do you like?
Chiefs at Chargers, taking the Chiefs minus 3.
I will also take the Chiefs minus the 3. Don't care who's playing. Chargers are a little too hot right now. They're going to get cooled down by a better team. And the Chiefs, I don't think they're going to lose to the Chargers twice in one season. Sunday Night Football.
Saints at Tampa, taking Tampa minus 11.
Yeah, the number's a bit big.
I just don't trust the Saints offense.
I don't either, but I'm taking this out of respect for the fact the Saints have been like the only team that have been really successful against the Bucs in the last couple of seasons to keep it close enough. Plus 11. I think despite how easy the Bucs schedule is finishing the season, they're going to stumble somewhere. Whether they lose that game or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, because two of their last 3 games are against Carolina.
Yeah, their defense, the Bucs defense is not what it was last season. I think a lot of that's injuries, but I also think a lot of that is maybe some guys not playing as well as they did last season, which is normal. But I think their offense is probably better because they throw the ball so much more.
But they got Richard Sherman back.
Yeah, we'll see if he stays healthy enough to play the rest of the season. I find it hard to believe that he'll stay healthy for 5 or so more games.
He did get a pick last week.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen gave him one there, so shout out. I'll take the Saints plus 11. And then a brutal Monday night game. Who the hell? The Bears, I know they were kind of fun on Sunday for people in the first half, but who the hell wants to see them in primetime again?
How do they keep getting all these
It's ridiculous. And it's like piggybacking off of division teams that don't stink, even though Minnesota, I mean, come on.
So the Monday night football game is Vikings at Chicago.
It's like the 4th year in a row we're getting this matchup on Monday Night Football, by the way, it feels like.
I'm taking the Vikings minus 3.5. I have a feeling Dalvin Cook might continue his heyday of just running through every team.
I mean, this game last season ended with like some random dude coming in at quarterback for the Bears and getting destroyed. I can't remember his name, but I remember Trubisky was hurt. Foles got hurt in the game. And then at the end, somebody came in against Minnesota, and it was ugly. So
was it Chase Daniels?
No, it was a much more random guy than that. It was like Tyler Day or something. It was a wild scene.
With the weather we're having in Illinois right now, I mean, this could be a fair weather game this Sunday.
Yeah.
Or Monday.
Yeah, the weather's been suspiciously warm for December.
I know someone who's in Vegas right now, and it's only 48 there, but it's in like the 60s here.
Tyler Bray is the one who came in.
Notre Dame quarterback.
Says Tennessee.
I think that's somebody else. Didn't they have a quarterback named? Oh.
This guy came in 1 for 5 for 18 yards and then got like killed at the end of the game. But anyway, it's gonna be probably a low scoring game. I'm gonna take the Bears plus 3.5. Screw it. I just talked shit about them being in a primetime game, but I don't care. I don't think Minnesota is that good. I actually regret this pick upon saying it, but whatever. I'm gonna go with it.
It's on record. What do you got for the Saturday-Sunday slate?
So Saturday, I'm picking one game. I know the Browns are dealing with a lot of issues right now. I don't care who the quarterback is, to be honest. It could be Keenum, it could be Baker. I don't care. I'm taking the Browns plus 1 against the Raiders. They are a better team.
While we're on that game, I'll just stay with you. I'm taking the Raiders minus 1 in this.
All right, so head-to-head. Big spot here. Big spot. And then for Sunday, I got the Giants plus 11 against the Cowboys. One more go with the Giants. Cover the GD spread, please. I don't think the Cowboys are as good as everybody thinks they are. It's a divisional game. I could see it happening.
Could also depend on who's starting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care who's starting, to be honest. If it's Mike Glennon, then,
he sees everything.
He does have a long neck. He's the opposite of Kyler Murray in terms of that, for sure. I'll take the Bengals plus 2.5 to bounce back. I know going to Denver is usually a death wish for most teams, but the Bengals gotta weather the storm and beat somebody here, so I'm going to take them. I'll take the Rams to stay hot, minus 4.5 against the Seahawks, and then give me Washington plus 7 at Philly. I'm assuming Hurts is going to be the quarterback in this game for Philly, and they're worse with Hurts than they are with Minshew. So Washington.
They're coming off a bye, right?
Yeah, that's a big number too. 7 points. I mean, that's a lot. I guess they don't know who the quarterback's going to be for Washington.
They don't even know.
They all stink anyway. It's all going to be based on the run game and the receivers making plays for Washington's offense.
And McLaurin might still be in concussion protocols. He didn't have a catch.
Yeah, but they still, Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown, Cam Sims.
I'm just saying that because I played against him this week, and it was so nice seeing zeros on the other side.
Yeah, he did get like drilled, and I guess he hit his head much harder than anything else on the ground. But so I'll take Washington plus 7.
I got the Cardinals minus 12.5 at Detroit. Jets at Dolphins, taking the Dolphins minus 10. I don't know if the Jets will win a game the rest of the year.
They got the Jags coming up, so maybe.
The Titans at Steelers. I'm taking the Titans -1.5. And then I also have the Rams -4.5 at home against Seattle.
All right. Those are the picks.
There is another game I want to talk. Is this who tanks more? Again, the Texans-Jacksonville game?
Yeah, I think the Texans are going to beat the shit out of them just like they did the first time.
Jags will be getting the first pick.
Yeah, then they're going to have a new head coach, so that's going to be another thing, a little turnover there. I mean, what a stupid hire by Shad Khan. Everybody knew it was going to be bad.
Get ETN back?
Expected. Yeah.
What do they – you said they take an offensive line?
I mean, I would assume so. I mean, you got to protect your quarterback, plus their interior is getting pretty old with Linder and Norwell.
Did you say if they tank, they get like the first and third pick, or –
I don't think the Jags have 2 picks. I think it's the Jets, Giants, and Eagles that all have 2 picks.
I don't remember how many weeks ago we talked about it.
Texans, Lions, Jaguars will have – Lions have 2 picks, but the second pick is the Rams. So that'll be later.
Oh, so the Giants are getting – never mind. The Lions are getting the first pick.
Yeah.
This is who gets the second pick.
Yeah, and if the Jags have the second pick, I think they'll probably just take whichever edge rusher is there, whether that's Thibodeau or Hutchinson, I would assume. Because I think Detroit probably going to take Hutchinson number 1 if they get it because he's a Michigan guy. Makes a lot of sense. But, yeah. All right. Before we're done, footy picks last week. 6-4.
You lost your MLS pick.
I did. I picked Portland. They lost. NYCFC won. Unfortunate, but that's the way it goes.
I believe that's NYFC's first.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah. They're like the baby New York team, too. I think the Red Bulls are a bigger deal there than NYCFC is, but I don't even think NYCFC has their own stadium. I think they play at Yankee Stadium. So there you go. League One, 1 pick. PSG -280 against Lorient. La Liga, 1 pick. Barcelona -280 against Elche. Serie A, 2 picks. Juventus -110 against Bologna. And Verona +235 against Torino. Premier League, 2 picks. Easy winners. These are guaranteed. West Ham -280 against Norwich and Chelsea. -200 against Wolves. And then 2 picks in the Bundesliga. Union Berlin +145 against Bochum. And Leverkusen +150 against Freiburg. 38, 21, and 1 overall. Got to be better than 6 and 4, though. So we'll see. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us. Number 43 will come your way next week, the last show before Christmas. There will be a Christmas tree in the top right of the screen. So enjoy that. All right. That'll do it. Goodbye.
Deuces.